Today we're going to look at analogies, understanding the word patterns and the different types of analogies you may come across. So what are word analogies? Well, word analogies develop logic. You analyze two words and you identify the relationship between them. And then you find another pair of words that have the same relationship. Well, how do analogies become constructed? Well, when you first look at the first pair of words, such as, for example, the words find and locate, you figure out what they stand for. Now, you know these two words go together because the colon in between the two words stands for the phrase, is related to. So when we have find, we would say find is related to locate. And we also have on the other side the words lose and misplace. So we would say the same thing. Lose is related to misplace. Now, the double colon stands for in the same way that, or equal. So when we look at the analogy, find is to locate, equals lose is to misplace. All right. So our types of analogies. What is the relationship right here with dry, arid, lost, and mislaid? Now, both words have similar meanings. So, this relationship is known as a synonym. Dry and arid have a similar meaning. Lost and mislaid have similar meanings. So, this relationship is a synonym. Next, what's the relationship here? Kind is to cruel, as happy is to sad. Well, both words have opposite meanings. Kind is the opposite of cruel. Happy is the opposite of sad. So the relationship is an antonym or an opposite. Next, what's the relationship? Chapter is to book, as fender is to automobile. Well, a chapter is a part of a book, just as a fender is a part of an automobile. So this type of analogy is known as part and whole. You have a part, a chapter, of the whole, a book. You have a part, a fender, of the whole automobile. Now, what happens if you switch book and chapter in this analogy, where you have book is to chapter? You would have whole versus parts. Now that would be considered an invalid analogy. Now, if you notice, your fender and your automobile are still the same. So we can't have a whole and a part and a part and a whole. They have to match. That chapter of a book and the fender of the automobile have to be in the same places. So what's the relationship of this analogy? Poem is to stanza, as play is to acts. This is still the part and whole, but this time notice I've switched both sides. But this time the whole comes first. So we can call this one a valid analogy, and this one is the whole and the part. The poem is the whole piece. The stanza is a part of that poem. The play is the whole piece, and the acts are a part of that play. All right, what's the relationship? Mirror is to smooth, as sandpaper is to rough. Now, mirrors are characteristically smooth, just as sandpaper is characteristically rough. So this type of analogy we call a characteristic and a quality. Next, what's the relationship? Polka is to dance, as frog is to amphibian, as bird is to cardinal, as house is to igloo. Now, a polka may be classified as a dance, and a cardinal is classified as a bird. And so therefore, all four of these are actually known as classifications. A frog is an amphibian. You'd classify a frog as an amphibian. A house, more specifically, could be an igloo. Next, what's the relationship? Gift is to joy, as rain is to flood. How about tears is to sadness, as smiles is to joy? Now, a gift can cause joy, and tears are an effect of sadness. You guessed it, this is cause and effect. The cause at the very beginning, the gift, effects the joy. The tears, the cause, effects the sadness. So what's the relationship? Knife is to cut, as shovel is to dig. Well, the function of a knife is to cut. The function of a shovel is to dig. And therefore we call this the use or the function analogy. What that particular item does, its action. What is the relationship of fish is to sea and moose is to forest? Now, a fish can be found in the sea, just as a moose can be found in a forest. So this one is a location. A fish can be found in the sea. It is located in the sea. A moose is located or found in a forest. Next, what's the relationship? Chuckle is to laugh, as whimper is to cry. Well, these words differ in degree. One is more intense than another. For example, to chuckle, it's a slight laugh, but somebody who is laughing, that's the full emotion. A whimper is a short cry, whereas a cry is the full emotion. One is more intense than the other. They are differing in degree. Next, what is the relationship? Cashier is to cash, as plumber is to pipe. Now, a cashier works with cash, and a plumber works with pipes. So this would be the performer analogy. So usually you would see a performer such as a cashier or a plumber and their related object, their cash or their pipe. What is the relationship? An author is to write, as a chef is to cook. Now you would expect an author to write, just as you expect a chef to cook. So it is just like the last one. Once again, we have a performer and a related action. This is a performer analogy. What's the relationship here? Boil is to egg, as throw is to ball. Well, you boil an egg just as you throw a ball. In these items, the object is receiving the action. And so here now we have the action and a related object. Boil is an action. Throw is an action verb. And what is happening in that relationship? You are boiling an egg is the action and the related object. Thank you so much for stopping by for this presentation on analogies. If you'd like to learn more about analogies or other different types of grammar and in writing, please let me know in the comments what else you'd like to learn. And as always, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe.